Hello, beautiful humans. This is Dayelene and Jules from the Empowering Women Project, and you're listening to the EWP podcast.
This podcast is for the women who know deep in their soul they are here for more. If you are done with the BS stories and limiting beliefs that are holding you back from your dreams becoming a reality,
come jump in the driver's seat and pave the way back home to her. This is a space for you to feel seen, heard, supported, and accepted for who you are, who you were, and who you're becoming.
Celebrating you wherever you are in your journey. Sit back, grab a tea or a wine, and come empower yourself with us. Jules and Day, let's grow. Hello and welcome back to the EWP.
Hello, beautiful humans.
Today we are talking about all things us.
I'm so excited. We're going to touch on so many things today to do with, where we grew up, what we've done as jobs and in our careers, where we're at now, and where we're heading into our future. So come along for the journey. It'll be really cool for you guys to get to know us a little bit more. So we thought we'd drop this little ep in here.
Exciting. Cannot wait for you guys to learn all about Dayelene. She is a vibe.
So is Julia. Yeah.
All right. So let's start with where we grew up. Where did you grow up? Tell me about that.
I grew up in Geelong, Victoria. And when I had Oliver, so my first child, I ended up moving to Torquay, Victoria, which is probably like 15, 20 minutes down the road, but it's such a beautiful town. So where did you grow up, babe?
Hence the, how in love with the beach you were when we visited there that day when you were here. It was like your favorite place. You were just so zen.
Yeah, it is my favorite place still on earth that I know so far. Yeah, I love it so much.
It's a vibe. So I grew up actually in Canada, which I'm sure we've touched on, and many of you can tell by my accent. I grew up just north of Toronto. I was born in a place called Mississauga. And yeah, we moved just north of Toronto, and that's where I spent the majority of my childhood and teenage years. I then, made the decision after I had graduated from 7 years of post-secondary education. I made the decision to move across the world. And I was only meaning to come for 6 months. I was like, right, I'm going to go for 6 months to a year, work and travel. I'd had a friend from Teachers College who her partner was here, and that's what she was doing. And so I applied and got a casual relief teaching job before I came, lined up all my visas, sold my house, sold my car, and packed 2 suitcases, put everything else in storage. And I was like, all right, family, I'll see you in 6 months to a year. And now this year we're coming up to that being 9 years ago. It is crazy.
Do you think that was a good decision? Are you happy with it? Will you ever move back to Canada?
I am definitely happy with where I'm at now. Obviously, my family is a big component of me missing Canada. And then pre-COVID, I used to go and visit them at least once or twice a year. And then I feel like, due to COVID, it was really challenging and the tickets became quite expensive. I did manage to go back twice last year with little Huddy. But I think at the moment, because of my doggy and how close the relationship him and Hudson have developed, he's actually illegal in Canada. He's a Staffy and he's lumped in with pit bulls. So I had looked into previously going back home actually, but then I discovered I couldn't bring him with me. So I think that is a contributing factor to why we will stay for sure. He's like my other little child.
He really is. Hey, he's so beautiful. Yeah, there's something about leaving your hometown. I don't know. I feel like you get so much growth out of that. It's like I live in Airlie Beach, Queensland now. So I'm like technically like a 29-hour drive from my hometown. It's a few hour flight, but there's something about leaving your hometown and just leaving like that old identity behind. And, actually, I don't know. I feel like you grow so much when you leave your hometown. It's so good.
Absolutely. And I just remember getting off the plane in Melbourne. I used to say Melbourne, which was so funny. But I remember getting off the plane in Melbourne and literally just being like, wow, I have landed in Australia. I'd only really traveled to Cuba and Mexico before that. And here I was on the other side of the world after, 2.5 days travel.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, oh my goodness. And I actually didn't even have anywhere to stay when I arrived, which is so
I
funny.
love that.
I
I
had,
love it.
yeah, scary as I had planned, but very spontaneous and adventurous. I had planned to scope out, like I was going to stay in a hostel, obviously, until I was going to do a share accommodation. And so I wanted to see these places in person because you read reviews and I just wanted to make sure I felt comfortable there. So I didn't want to go ahead booking something and I knew I would be able to do it. You know, I had a plan for when I got there, which ones I was going to go and visit and all the rest
Yeah.
of it. Um, but yeah, I ended up staying at the Space Hostel in the CBD of Melbourne. And I think I was there for 2 weeks and I started work nearly straight away.
Wow.
So I was waking up there and they put me in a room full of 6 guys as well. I was like, okay. But yeah, they were partying all the time and I was like, no, I'm here to work. Like, of course, I went out and enjoyed some of the places that they were showing me, but I was also then waking up and starting to become a casual teacher. And so I did that for about 2 weeks before I actually landed somewhere where I was in a share accommodation. And I shared with two other guys and one other girl.
Oh my God, how amazing. That's so cool. It's kind of similar to when we moved to Airlie Beach. It was during COVID. I think we touched on this in recent podcasts as well. But when we got over the border from New South Wales to Queensland, we had to go straight into like 14 days of hotel quarantine. And we did not have any rental lined up to get to Airlie Beach. And I remember going like, we are so guided, protected, safe, and loved, and all the rest of it. And I don't know. I just think there's like an inner knowing when you know you're on the right track that something's gonna like come into your vortex. So it all works out exactly how it should eventually. Hey.
Yeah, and I kind of like it. Like I kind of liked that feeling of adventure.
Mm.
Obviously it's different. Like I didn't have a child then, so you know I only really had to take care of myself. But that would have been
Mm.
huge for you to be navigating and wondering and just you know accepting that the universe would have your back with three little
Yeah.
boys.
It was very crazy. I think we grew as a family so much that like during that time as well, like we just got each other's back and even our dog, like I don't even know how we still got her to get over the border. Like so many things happened during that time. But I don't know. I feel like it builds grit as well and just faith. I feel like I grew faith during that time. I don't think I ever really had faith in people and circumstances in my life for a lot of my life. But yeah, that definitely made me realize that me and my kids have each other's backs and I have my own as well. So yeah, it's so good. It's
I
amazing
love
pushing yourself
that.
out of your comfort zone. It's where you grow the most.
Exactly. I love that. And just having that trust that you are, you know, you're on the right track and you're being guided by your intuition, I think is so powerful.
Amen, sister.
I love that. Yeah. So then, at one of my casual teaching jobs that I was working at, and it was a school for children with autism. And yeah, I just found sort of my niche at that point in time. And they were like, oh, we really want to sponsor you. And I'd only been here for, I think 3 months. And they're like, we'd love to sponsor you. We'd love you to come and work for us. And so they sponsored me for a year. And let me tell you, the visa process is so grueling.
I was gonna
Um,
say, do you want to touch into that because there's so many backpackers up here, and I talk to a lot of people about like the 88 days and the sponsorship and the citizenship and stuff like that. Like, whoa, what you guys go through is insane. Like, hats off to you.
oh
You're an
yeah, it's
Australian
a
citizen
lot.
now, aren't you?
I am. I'm a
Yeah,
dual
yeah,
citizen, so I'm both Canadian and Australian citizens.
yay.
And yeah, it was a long process. Like I didn't get my citizenship till, was it last year? Nah. Yeah, it would have been last year.
Wow. What an
Yeah.
accomplishment though. It's crazy. Yeah. Like, and
Yeah.
not everybody gets it. So
No, it was full on. So, in terms of like the working holidays, you can only work a certain amount of time, and you're actually taxed a significant amount. I think it was like 40% or something of
wow.
your wages. And then you have to pay for the visas. So the visas take such a huge amount of energy and time to fill out the applications. And then there's a huge fee that comes along with them as well.
Yeah.
And they look into your entire past, you know, they liaise with the police in Canada and make sure that your background is like your background checks align and you know you're not a criminal, all the rest of it. So it is quite an extensive process. but very well worth it. Very, very well worth it. And yeah, you can be sponsored for 1 year, 3 year, and I think 5 year. And then you have to be a permanent resident for a certain amount of time before you're actually allowed to apply for citizenship. So yeah, there's
Wow.
an extensive process, and it was a lot, but it was well worth it. I think it all up maybe cost me $12,000
Oh, wow.
in visas. Yeah, over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you have to have
but well,
like a worker sort of person helping you and stuff like that, don't you? I've heard.
no, I did it all on my own.
What? Of course you did. Of course you did. Oh my God. I love you so
Yeah.
much, honestly. Of course you did. No
I just
working
did
here,
my
babe.
research. No, I was like, nah, I'm gonna do it on my own. And just, yeah, did a lot of research and spent a lot of time on the phone with immigration and just made sure I had all my I's dotted and all my T's crossed. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I actually
so
love your accent. Like, I just love your voice.
oh,
I think it's so
thank
cute.
you.
I'm a sucker for
Thank you.
accents, but there's some where I'm like, but there's some I'm like, oh my God, I love it. So cute.
I always get the, are you from America or Canada? I'm like, Canada. So
What is
yeah,
Canada like? Like, what's the weather like over there? I've,
so where I was from, it's actually opposite seasons to here. So when we have summer here, I'm doing quotations because if you're in Victoria, if you know, you know, we haven't had much of a summer. I'm literally wearing like a thick cardi today because it is so cold. But
I jumped
anyways,
on
that's
and I was
aside.
like, is it cold down there? She's like wearing like this knit rug, like cardigan thing with her hat on. And it just looks freezing. I'm jumping on with like a little bralette and short shorts. Oh, it's
Yeah, we haven't got
crazy.
much of a summer here, but when it's summer in Australia, it's the opposite. So it's winter in Canada. And one of the
Mm.
many reasons that I wanted to come to Australia was because I had this misperception that the weather was always beautiful. And I
It is
actually
in
didn't
Queensland.
know. I actually didn't know there was 4 seasons in one day here. And I didn't get it when people were telling me that, oh, there's 4 seasons in one day. And I was like, oh, okay, what does that even mean? Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. It's
Because,
crazy.
yeah, you can go from literally stunning and sunny and 38 degrees to next minute it's pouring rain and hailing and 16 degrees. Like it's
Literally.
wild. I don't know who's controlling the weather.
But
But
stop.
they need to settle down. But yeah,
Literally.
so yeah, we have beautiful winters, but I am not really a fan of winter. But yeah, grew up with them obviously, and you have to do all kinds of crazy things. Like in the morning, you have to go out and, if it's had a big snowfall, which can sometimes be up to your hips, you have to dig your way to your car, first of all, and then you have to warm your car up. Like you have to warm your car up for a good amount of time because there's chunks of ice. Like your whole car could be completely covered in ice, and you
Wow.
can't just get in the car and drive. Like you've got
Yeah.
to you've got to
There's
organize
a
yourself before you
process.
go.
That was like when I was in
Yeah.
Victoria when I was younger. The winters were so cold that I remember dad having to get like the hose on the car and like getting all the ice off. I don't know if it's really like that anymore, but it was really like that when I was younger.
Oh my
And
God.
the weather was completely different in Victoria. It used to be like bang on the seasons and it was so hot during the summer and there was bushfires and everything like that. And then the winter, you're like almost like flooded in, like, well, not flooded in, but it was just consistent rain. Like you couldn't go outside. Like it was, yeah, it was insane. Like the weather is seriously changing. Right now in Airlie Beach, we have a cyclone, the second cyclone, well, not second cyclone of the year. There was one in December last year brewing. And I'm just like, where have I moved to? Like you can't really swim in the ocean because of like crocodiles and like the cyclones brewing all the time. So yeah, I've moved completely opposite weather now. So yeah,
It's
weird.
crazy. I can't believe your dad used to use a hose because that can actually crack your windshield.
Yeah, no, that's what he used to do. Yeah, he used to get buckets or hose and yeah, put that. And then yeah, it was a process turning your
Wow.
car on. So now we got newer cars. I don't think you really have to do that. It's kind of, I don't know, but we don't, it's not a process in the morning to get up and start your engine for 20 minutes.
Yeah, for us, you can wake up some mornings and it's like minus 40. And you're not going
Wow.
anywhere unless you get the car going. And then you'll have to shovel your driveway just to be able to get out of the driveway if you've had a snowfall. And then just as you
Wow.
finish, you'll be right. I'm ready to go. Awesome. Finally in your snow pants, all the rest of it. Big chunky winter boots. Don't miss those. And then the snowplow will go by and you'll be like, are you freaking kidding me? And
Yeah.
then you'll have snow at the bottom of your driveway again and you'll have to shovel it out. But yeah, you literally can't leave your house if we've had a big snowfall. A lot of the times we have those yellow school buses that you see on TV that they
Oh,
don't have here in Australia.
oh,
And
we got flooring
oftentimes they'll be
ones.
canceled. Yeah. They'll just be like, oh
Oh,
no, we can't, buses are canceled today. And that was the best thing when you were a kid, if there got a snowfall, you knew buses were canceled. Great. I get to stay home and play in the snow all day.
wow. Oh,
Um, but yeah, so the weather is, yeah, it's cold. It's cold right now. Sending all my love and warmth to all of my Canadian friends and family as you navigate
oh.
that. Mhm.
Yeah, poor honeys, but it is 19 degrees where you are right now. So that seems really
Yeah.
cold in Australia.
True, but it would seem really warm to Canadians who are sitting in -30.
Yeah, true, true. I guess I've
Yeah,
never traveled outside of Australia, so I literally don't even know. Like, I could not even fathom what that is like. So, yeah,
I can't believe that. But our
yeah,
next like meeting where we meet together, we've been talking about behind the scenes doing a Bali trip with our boys.
yeah, 100%. Ollie was talking about that last night.
Love it. I think we should
Yeah.
definitely do it. Like, why not? It would cost
Yeah.
us the same to go to Bali as it would for us to fly between each other, probably.
It's so crazy, the flight prices. Like,
It's
it's just mental. It's insane.
It's insane. It's like they're all trying to make back the money that they weren't making during COVID because they couldn't fly. So now flights are just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like I
Yeah.
think when we went in January, one ticket was $7,000.
What?
Like,
That's like on your way to a house deposit.
yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
crazy. But you had your cup filled with family time. So,
I
yeah.
did. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. And so yeah, we're thinking about going to Bali with our boys, and I just cannot believe that you haven't been anywhere. That's
I know
just
it's crazy. Like I'm well traveled, like up the East Coast, but other than that, like I'd love to go to WA and stuff like that as well. But I love Australia. There's so much to do, but I definitely want to dive into different cultures and stuff like that. I think it'll be very, very beautiful and really expansive as well, I think.
It's
Yeah.
really eye-opening. And I found before I had Huddy, like I was just so adventurous. So every school holidays, I would just book a trip and I would go somewhere and I would go by myself. I would
Yeah,
say
how cool.
95% of the time.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I went to Ibiza for 10 days.
I know how by yourself.
I've
I love
traveled
that.
to Denmark. I met my grandfather when he was still living. He passed away in January, last January, unfortunately,
Mm,
rest his soul. But
yeah.
when he was still living, one of the things he wanted to do was to meet halfway. So he flew from Canada to Denmark, and I
Yeah.
flew from Australia to Denmark, and we met in the middle, and we had a beautiful 2-week holiday together. And he showed me around his
Aw.
hometown, and we stayed with his family, well, my family, and it was just so beautiful. It was such a lovely memory. Like I'll never forget that.
Oh. Oh,
And
little
then
honeys.
I know. And then I've been to the Philippines, which was also amazing, zip lined across the ocean. I've been to lots of places in America. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Cuba. I've been to Fiji. Fiji was one of my favorite places. Their whole motto there is no hurry, no worry. And
Oh, island
they don't use
time.
clocks. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. People say that in Airlie Beach, like Airlie island time, and I'm like, no, it's not. We're still in Australia.
Yeah, no, it was just, yeah, I loved it there. And I swam there. Like I would back dive off a boat and there would be giant manta rays like the size of our houses. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. But it was just the thrill. Like I just loved the adventure and the thrill. And before all of this, I was actually afraid of the ocean. And I was like, no,
Oh,
I'm combating that fear. So yeah, I learned to
and you did
scuba
that in
dive and
Fiji. You
yeah, in
combated that fear.
Fiji.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to go
yeah.
there. I'm
Yeah,
so
and
scared of
then
sharks.
yeah, and the Great Barrier Reef as well. I went and I learned how to scuba dive at the Great Barrier Reef and snorkel. But yeah, I've done so much, and I want you to experience that as well because it's such an uplifting, like cultural feeling to
Oh,
see the way other people live.
I would love it. I literally feel like when the kids are a little older, I'm going to take a little bit of time to just do some backpacking or something. I actually have Googled before backpacking in your 30s. And I don't know, it just when I see a lot of backpackers here and when like I go out for dinner and you talk to people and stuff like that, I'm just like, wow, like they're just so interesting to talk to. Like, and I just want to get that in me. Like
Mm.
I just, yeah, they just got this different energy about them. So yeah, it's definitely something I want to put on the list to do.
Mm.
It'd be cool just even do a month, like I don't know, just to get that feeling. But yeah,
Mm.
I feel like we limit ourselves
Absolutely.
sometimes with our time, like our age, and we've got kids and stuff like that. But yeah, we can still do things like that, and we could do it with our kids as well.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. It's such a huge possibility. I think I took 6 weeks off, maybe 5 weeks, and I did the whole east coast of Australia. So I did backpacked everywhere from Sydney all the way to Cairns and literally everywhere in between.
Oh,
And it was one of the most exhilarating things, the people you meet and the stories you hear. And then, you add each other on social media and like I still connect with some people these days. And you see now people are off having children and, off doing all these beautiful, amazing things. And
yeah.
it's just, yeah, definitely I highly recommend. And I've actually traveled more of Australia than I have of Canada.
Of course. It's
I
so
want to go
beautiful
back and
here.
do Canada, definitely. And that's something I would do with my future hubby and Hudson.
Yeah. There's something about like if you I seen it on like a reel or something, if you went to one beach every day in Australia, it would take you like 20 something years. Like how insane is that? Did you know that?
Wow, no, I didn't.
Yeah. So if you did one, well, when you think about it, like Torquay has heaps of different little beaches. Like it's one
Mhm.
suburb, but it has different beaches. But yeah, if you do one beach every day, it takes over 20 years.
Oh my
Crazy.
goodness. Imagine that would be Hudson's like life dream. He calls
Literally.
them water parks.
Yeah, he doesn't he?
He
That's so
loves it.
cute.
Like he would live at the beach if I let him. Honestly, that's both of our happy place. Like he would just stay there for hours and hours and hours. And he does. We do.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. So it's been a wild, crazy journey, but like so many accomplishments along the way. So tell me about
Mm.
your sort of first job and what got you to where you are today.
My first job, well, my actual first job, it was like a cashier job at the butcher, but I just wanted to get a phone because my mum wouldn't buy me a phone. So I remember telling my mum to get me a job. It was so illegal. But yeah, I worked there for a little short period of time until I saved up enough money to get a new phone. And then my first official job was Donut King, and it still is the best job I've ever had to date. Like it was so fun, and I loved it. And I used to work so many hours, and yeah, it was just a vibe. And I had the best boss. And then I worked on my day off, entrepreneurial. I think I've always been since a young age. On my day off, I worked at a little clothing store as well, and I used to pretty
Oh,
much spend my wage on the clothes. So yeah,
that's
yeah, and then
amazing.
yeah, and then I dove in from there. I went into childcare. I actually know before that, when Heath was younger, my second son. Actually, no, I've had a few jobs now. Think about it. I worked at the reject shop for a little while. Oh my God, memory lane. Yeah, and then I started like a little online clothes business, which was really cute. I just wanted to be at home with my kids. So yeah, it was beautiful. Actually did sort of okay considering I had no marketing skills at all, and it was pretty much right off Facebook back then, which was probably like 10 years ago. And then I've done like cleaning businesses here and there just to work around the kids and stuff. And then I got to a point where I was like, I want to, like, the kids were going into daycare. And I was like, I don't want to be not around my children. So I did my certificate diploma in early childhood. And then I wanted to do family daycare. So I started a family daycare business from home. So I could be at home with the kids and still earn money. And then when me and my baby daddy parted ways, I went into a center. And yeah, from there, yeah, I've just had little jobs here and there. And now I own my own cleaning business here in Airlie Beach. I've had a meditation and breathwork business, like a holistic sort of business here as well. I no longer do that, but yeah, just finding out where I'm going to fit, which is cool.
Mm.
But yeah, I've
And
done
now you
lots
have a
of
potty as
things.
well.
And now I have a potty. But yeah, I guess future goals for me would be to create an online business where I'm location free, so I can travel with my kids more and just spend so much more time with them, because our life has been so hectic, busy, and I feel like sometimes we didn't really get to do a lot of the things that I wanted to do as a mum. So yeah, going forward, I think that's where I'm going to be leading into, is the online space. And yeah, it'll be really cool, and helping other people. So yeah. What
Oh my
about
God,
you,
I
my
love that.
honey?
Guys, I learned a lot there. I didn't know some of those things about her. So this is like also us learning about each other a little bit. I know we've touched on them, but yeah, that's so amazing. I love that. And it's so
Yeah.
funny that you mentioned that about the online sort of space, because that also came forward and you got a confirmation that that's going to be happening from Ashlyn when you did some cards with Ashlyn, didn't you?
Yeah, she said something about, I got goosebumps.
Confirmation.
So every time I get goosebumps, I'm like, I feel like that's like a confirmation. So
Mm.
yeah, she said that I was going to slay the online space. And it was going to be, I think it might be two separate things, but also something holistic as well, which is totally me. Yeah, I'm totally not into, the medical system and all the rest of it. So I'm a more holistic, I go a holistic way of healing and stuff like that. So I can totally see me doing that. I don't even know what it is, but I just know it's going to be helping people. And in turn, I'm going to be growing as well. So I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And before we go over and talk a little bit about what I've done in my past with jobs, I want to know more about how you started your business as a cleaner. Like, that's
Uh,
huge for you to do after everything that you went through. And yeah, tell us more about that, please.
well, I've always done cleaning like on the side, down in Torquay, because I always live in places that are like full of tourism. So down in Torquay, I always did it on the side of, whatever else I was doing. So yeah, and it was good money, and it was flexible around my kids, and I was able to bring my kids because I was going through like a DV relationship and stuff like that. So I kind of needed something that was flexible, and I'm starting to realize more and more as I grow, I'm not a 9 to 5 person sitting in an office. I'm like, I want time freedom. And yeah, that kind of is what it brings. Sometimes not. Sometimes it takes a lot of my weekends and stuff like that at the moment. But I have big audacious goals. So I need to kind of do that for right now. But yeah, it kind of led from, I was working for somebody else, and I was pretty much doing everything that she was doing. And I know that I'm quite dynamic, and I'm quite, witty around like, doing things and managing things and stuff like that. So I kind of was like, F it, I might as well just like start my own business. And yeah, I just did. I just reached out. I did the crappy jobs at first to like build my reputation. And now like real estate's have me on their thing. They're wanting me like as soon as I have more time and stuff to go with them. But yeah, it's something for right now. It's not like, it
Mm.
doesn't fuel my passion, but it's paying my bills, and it's, providing for my children right now. And I'm able to work my schedule around my kids and like healing and, all of the rest of it. And yeah, sometimes we're just going to do what we're going to do for right now. But yeah.
I think the important thing that stands out for me when you talk about that is that, you didn't just sit back and find something that's just going to do paycheck to paycheck. You wanted more for
Yeah.
your kids in this stage of your life. So you were like,
Mm,
instead of working for somebody else and cleaning for
mm,
somebody else, I'm going to utilize the skills and
yeah.
the knowledge that I have around this. And I'm actually going to branch out and start my own business. That is huge. So you should really
Yeah.
celebrate yourself for that.
Thank you. Do you know what
Because
actually dived me into it more was I was applying for jobs in between quitting the last job. And I was applying for jobs, and I remember it was just so easy to get a job. And then I was like looking at the pay I would get, and I'm like, fuck that. Like it was almost like not a self-worth thing, but I was like, I can't afford to live on that. Like my rent is $750 here in Airlie Beach. Like, and my kids, deserve a beautiful life. And yeah, my goals of owning a home and stuff aren't going to go off a minimum wage. And then I'm stuck in that job from 9 to 5. I can't go pick up my kids, and my kids would have to go in before and after school care. Like, so everything is like based around my children at the end of the day. And I clean some of the most beautiful Airbnbs here in Airlie Beach. So I'm very blessed. And I chose Airbnbs of the fact that I'm not working around other people. Like I know my schedule in advance. I work directly with the real estate, and they're absolute boss babes. I love them so much. So it all just worked out.
That's amazing. What a huge
Yeah.
accomplishment for you. I'm so proud of
Yeah.
you, and you should be so proud of yourself as well. That's incredible.
Thank you, my honey.
Lots of love. But in terms of me, I always knew I wanted to work with kids or like do something to help people. So initially, as soon as I was old enough, and I think it was 12 that I was actually able to. And I think I was a little bit younger when I was like supporting and helping with my younger siblings. But I went off and did what was called the babysitter's course. And I was so proud of
Wow.
myself. Yeah. I was so proud of myself, did this little course, had this little certificate, and I actually had quite a lot of local customers that I like
Oh,
local families around me that I would support and watch their kids for so that mums and dads could go out on date nights and stuff.
oh,
Um, yeah, so I had my own like little like babysitting business, which I think was so cute.
how
Um,
cute.
yeah, and I was so young too. Like I think back now and I'm like, wow, like I was slaying it at that age.
Literally.
And then when I was allowed to have like a first official job, that was at Tim Hortons as well, which is, if you're Canadian, you know, it's like our big sort of coffee, it's like a franchise. Um, and believe it or not, like I think when I was there last, the coffees are like $2.50 for an extra large. And I just, yeah, it blows my mind. And yeah, paying $6.50,
Yeah,
$7
10
here. But
bucks now.
anyway, it's crazy. But yeah, so that's where I worked for a while. And then after that, literally straight out of high school, I knew I was like, right, I know what I want to do and I want to work with kids. And so I went the route of being an early childhood educator, and then very quickly became an EC, like a manager at the center that I was working at, which was the YMCA in Canada. And yeah, I was doing that and doing the school in the evenings and working full time during the day. And then when I could, I also picked up some serving jobs. So I spent a lot of time being a server in Canada, bartending, waitressing, being a manager, all the rest of it. And that's kind of what I did, was worked in schools with children as an ECE as well, supporting students with disabilities, and all the while working. And then in my evenings or part-time was working on my EC diploma, my BA in psychology, and then I also got a master's of education as well.
Whoop,
So
whoop, boss babe. Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
So I spent 7 years post high school, gaining all those accomplishments. And that's when I moved across here. And actually, the first job that I got here was my first real teaching job as an actual teacher.
Oh,
Yeah, so it was crazy. And then I just quite rapidly accelerated in that career. I think I'd been teaching for 2 years before I was a pedagogy coach and a teacher mentor, and then a learning specialist. And yeah, I was quite honored to utilize my skills and my knowledge and just to learn more. Like that was the one thing about me, was I always would take on more knowledge and more knowledge, and I would then in turn take that and utilize it into my practice and supporting my team of teachers that I had. So yeah, that was huge for me. And then now I then went on to have little Huddy, obviously. So I went on family leave from that role as a learning specialist, and have gone back just in a casual capacity at first. And then I got offered a job as a career practitioner in a secondary setting, also working with students with disabilities. So that's what I do at the moment. I do that part-time, and could go, into that full-time at any stage, but it just suits our lifestyle at the moment.
yeah.
And then we launched this potty in December, and at the same time, I'd been working with Ashlyn in the background, and had decided I wanted to do more. Ashlyn keeps telling me, you're a healer, you're meant to be here to support other people.
Yeah.
And so I went off and have also started my own healing, women's healing journey called Sweetgrass Circle of Healing. And I
Okay.
hosted my first women's circle at the end of last year on the full moon. And I've got another one coming up on the 26th of January. So what I do in that capacity is I just hold the space for women and allow them to come into a circle of sort of trust and allow them to be vulnerable within the space and to share. And I cleanse their energy and support them with having to cleanse that energy. And I help them sort of release any of the stuff that they were holding on to. So we did this beautiful little ceremony within it. And everyone had a chance to share about themselves. And so it was a really beautiful space. And I was really honored by the women that came forward, and the women that allowed me to support them with sort of letting go of everything from last year. So yeah, I've got some ideas of where that will go, and more the sort of expansiveness that I want to do with that business moving into 2024. And I think my future goals, like I love everything that I'm doing at the moment. I feel like I'm actually really aligned and in a perfect space. Like I still really love, like my passion is teaching, and my passion is helping others and healing. So I feel like I've really found a niche. So now for my future goals, it's just really about expanding that and adding to that. And, you know, we've talked about potentially doing retreats and stuff for women, and having courses and all the rest of it. And a big goal of mine that's sitting there that I want to start researching is writing a book or a series of books about my life and sort of, what's happened and how I've got to where I am today. And just, you know, some inspiring memoirs, I guess, or something like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then one of my big jobs, as you know, Dayelene, is being a single mama, 100%.
Amen. And we're both there.
But yeah, I think one of the big things for me is just providing the best that I can for Hudson as well, and making sure that he's supported, because dad's not involved at all, and my family's in Canada. So just really giving him the best life that I can possible, you know, breaking that generational trauma from when, you know, our parents were young and we were young and all the rest of it. So that's me in a nutshell in terms of my jobs.
And I love you so much how you gracefully navigate all of that on your own, and then your work as well. And you drive a very long drive every day to drop Huddy off. So you fit everything in around your job. And I just think you're amazing, babe. And you've navigated all of that through, I've got goosebumps again. I'm gonna cry. You navigate it all so gracefully, my honey. Like, you just had surgery and you're on a podcast and you're serving. And if you look at both of our histories, it actually is, a lot of it is serving people. And I think that's really beautiful. And it's really something that we need to be really proud of. And we've navigated that through severe domestic violent relationships. And obviously we'll touch on that in another episode, but the life that we've had, and we still show up so gracefully and beautifully. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud of us.
I'm so proud of you too. We've got so much love, and we've been through so much. We've just got so much that we want to share. And I think this was just the tip of the iceberg with getting to know us. We have several other notes put aside, so there will probably be a part 2 to this.
I definitely think so.
Yeah, but that's just the tip of the iceberg, and we can't wait to share a little bit more about us and who we are. And the next episode might bring a little bit more nitty-gritties in terms of attachment styles and past and things like that. But we thank you guys so much for listening in and for getting to know us, and for coming along on the ride with us, because we've got so much love to share with you.
Yeah, we thought this episode will be really great just so we can connect more, because I feel like we're just doing episodes and people aren't really knowing who we are and what we've accomplished and been through and, you know, growing through at the moment, and our future goals. So it's really beautiful to connect on that level, my beautiful humans.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for tuning in today, and we hope you enjoy listening to us as much as we enjoyed talking about it.
Stay tuned for part 2, baby.
Take care. Bye, guys. We hope you feel inspired to take back your power. Thank you for listening into the EWP Potty with Jules and Day. We want to challenge you to share this potty with someone you love. Let's get all women involved. Follow us on Insta at empoweringwomen_project. Facebook and TikTok at Empowering Women Project.
We invite you to interact with us on our socials, our threads, and in our DMs. We are open to collaborating and invite you to reach out if you feel inspired to be a guest on our EWP podcast. Remember, you are the creator of your reality. We encourage you to start believing in yourself and the magic of the universe.